All right, so I haven't quite finished grading your quizzes yet, but based on what I saw with y'all working on it and taking forever and a day to get to solving it, I decided maybe we need to slow down and work a little bit more with the logarithms before we move into the rational expressions, which will be so much more fun for y'all. So, what am I going to do? I'm going to go through problems similar to what you saw in the quiz, but I'm changing up numbers and stuff like that, but showing you kind of like how at least I see them. Maybe you see a different way of solving some of these, but again, this comes to the point where you've got to tell me, like, what do you need help in, and not sit there and kind of waste time on it. I mean, you got to make sure you're pushing yourself to be productive, not letting letting yourself be distracted and doing nothing. Remember, you're trying to make sure you can be a better person. So to do that, you've got to work for it. All right? Anyways, let's get to the first problem. All right, so we're going to say log base 6 of 5 is equal to 0.8982, and log base 6 of 7 is equal to 1.0860. So use up properties to tell me what log base 6 of 5 over 7 is. I have to put the base 6 for a second. So again, the idea here was not from you to type it into the calculator and just give me an answer. The idea here is for you to start using the properties. This is way for you to practice how to work with the properties. It's like saying if you had gone and the teacher asked you to say, okay, x plus, or no, not x plus, let's say 5 cubed, show me how 5 cubed, what 5 cubed equals. And you just type it in the calculator and say 125. When the teacher was asking you to say 5 times 5 is 25 and 25 times 5 is 125, so that you understand the concept. Because if you understand the concept, it'll be so much easier for you to do all the other stuff. Anyways, based on the properties that we have, the second property tells us when I see divide, I can subtract. So I can subtract those two. And now that I have log base 6 kind of 5 by itself and log base 7 by itself, I can put the decimals in their places. So I need these alone. Yes, I can have a minus in between them, so I can put the decimal in their place. So I put for base 6, 5, 8982 and 1.0860. Subtract, type that into the calculator, and yeah, you can subtract and get negative 1.878. And again, I'm following these exactly like the quizzes. I'm just changing up numbers. All right, so what would log base 175 be? I give you two ways to do this. One way, let's say you divided 175 by 5. Okay, and you got 35. Well, there's a property that says if it's multiply, you can add. So I can say log base 6 of 5 times log base 6, plus log base 6 of 35. Well, I have a decimal number for this, but not for the 35. Not for this. So then I need to split that up. Well, what goes into 35? Well, how about another 5 and a 7? So now I can say, okay, I can split these two up and put a plus in between them. So now I would have a log base 6, 5 plus another log base 6, 5 plus a log base 6, 7. Then you can put the decimals in between, add them all up, and get your answer. The other way to do this, maybe you had divided by 7, and you would have said, oh, log base 6, 7 equals 25. And then maybe you realize, hey, 25 is 5 squared. Well, if that's 5 squared, then I can move the 2 in front of the 5, because there's a property that allows that. I believe that would be property 3, going with the numbers that are on the board. And by the way, I'm using that because if you can visualize, picture that in your head, those properties on there on the board and picture that, you'll actually remember it better. Actually better than trying to say, well, if I add, subtract, da-da-da-da. But picture and visualize. That is actually a key memory technique that's been shown scientifically, proven that if you can visualize, you will usually hold it better in your memory. All right, so I've got this, and well, then I can put the decimals and say 2 times 0.8982, and again, type it in, you should get the exact same answer. And there you go. Not that hard, right? Okay, so the hard one was the 1.4, right? Okay, because that's a decimal. It's too hard. Well, here's the thing. You can type 1.4 in a calculator, press menu, and then press 22, and then press enter. And it will actually change the decimal to a fraction for you, and then you would realize it's 7/5. So that might be something you might want to remember, how to change a fraction to a decimal to a fraction. Yeah, just saying. Yeah, it might help. Anyways, then I can see that's 7/5, so that means that's 7 minus 5. And I can say substitute the decimals and then press enter after I subtract and get the same, or get the answer, and there you go. That's it. So what do you do when you see problems like this and they say solve? I don't know what to do, sir. Okay, first off, look at properties. You need to say, there's a rule, and I'll show you like this. Actually, I'm going to change up what I'm going to do. First off, you have to get everything inside the logs. Okay, so when you want to solve for equations, everything needs to be inside logs. Nothing can be outside. So I need to move the exponent back, inside, or the number in front, 3/4 in front. So I do that by moving it back into as an exponent. Then, you can drop the logs. And the reason why you can drop the logs is because there is a rule that says if you have this base and you raise them both to that same power, when a number, like a log base, is next to its own power, they cancel out. Same way the e and the ln cancel out. That's why I can drop the log. And then say, okay, y is equal to 625 to the 3/4. And then all you got to do is type this number in the calculator, and you will get your answer, which is 125. Final answer. There you go. Next problem. Oh, how was this one? Okay, again, same idea. I need to get the logs together. Using property 2, I can change that that minus to division, and kind of go from there. Now that they're there, I can, again, we already now know that we can drop the logs because there's a rule that allows us to drop them like this. And because we're technically doing this, like saying like that, okay? And then that leaves me with x plus 3 over x plus 4 equal to 7. Well, I need to get rid of that divide. How do I get rid of that divide? I need to multiply by the denominator, x plus 4. By the way, that concept, what I'm doing right there, multiplying by x plus 4, huge for the next section, for the next chapter. You need to realize that I am going to punish y'all a lot with that type of problem. So you have to get used to that, and it shouldn't be that hard. Okay, so the x plus 4's cancel each other out, leaving me x plus 3 on the left. And then 7 times x plus 4 will give you, say, 7x plus 28. And then you can go from there, crisscross, variables to the left, numbers to the right, divide, and then you have your final answer. And that's it. And yes, you could have left that one as a fraction. And then how about rewriting? Well, rewriting, you should know how to do. If you see ln, you want to change it back to base e, or showing that it's e with an exponent. Keep in mind, when you see ln or log, this is the exponent of the base. And the base, when you see ln, is always e. The answer is next to the ln. So like here, when I'm going backwards and I'm going from the exponential function back to the logarithmic, notice how my exponent is after the equals, but what it was equal to is inside the natural log. Okay? Now, I did see somebody on the test do something like this. OE, cancel, and look what you've got. You already have the answer right there. Boo and ya. So, there you go. Anyways, we can talk about that more later, I guess. I want to get through this. All right, so let's keep going. All right, so now let's try to rewrite the following as a single logarithm. What that means is you've got to put them into your own, just use the properties. Y'all are like overthinking it. Okay, well, what do I see? I see numbers in front. So you're trying to get this down to one logarithm, which means start condensing. Everything needs to go inside. So these numbers outside have to come inside. Well, how do I do that? I move them. There's a property. Property 3 allows me to move them back in. So that's what I did. What does the minus do? The minus allows me to divide. And then you could actually, oopsie, didn't mean to do that. Then you could actually divide them and get your answer. So if you type in 4/5 divided by 8/3, you get to. And that's your answer. Notice all I would have typed in is this into the calculator and just wrote the ln afterwards. All right, so the next one, same thing. Move the numbers outside to the inside for exponents. And then a lot of you are like, what do I do from there? I don't know what to do. Just because there's an x, you're not solving. So, I mean, guys, if I say 8 times x, or if I say 8x, that means 8 times x. So guess what? You can find, let's see this. You can say this is 125. Like 5 cubed is 125. And then you're just going to combine those because this says that you have to multiply these two things. Well, how do I show that? I just put them next to each other. Like so. And you're done. Ooh, that was hard. I know. Very much hard. That was sarcasm if y'all didn't get that, by the way. All right. Then those last sections that some people thought were super hard. Okay, look, when you see an e to the x, the idea is you want to get it by itself. E with an exponent. You want to get that by itself. So notice how I put parentheses around that. Now, how do I get rid of the minus 4? Well, you add 4. You've done that since I don't know when. How do I get rid of the 6? Well, that's multiply, so I divide by 6. So now I'm dealing with 13 over 6. Leave it as a fraction. Oh, no, I hate fractions. I don't care. Anyways, then now e to the x is by itself. So then you can put the ln next to them. And when you do that, then the ln and the e cancel each other out, leaving you just an x. And then you can type in ln divided by 13 over 6. Now this one, I would want like that. Like ln parentheses 13 divided by 6, close the parentheses, and get your answer. And you get an answer of 0.7732. And there you go. I know, it was so hard, don't you think? You know, that is me being sarcastic, I hope. But anyways, I try not to be. I really do, but it sometimes fails. All right. Next one. Let's see. Something like this. Okay, I want to say, again, notice here that e to the 3x power is not by itself. I have to get rid of that 7. So I need to divide by 7. 42 divided by 7 is 6. Now I can put the ln. The ln and the e would cancel out, leaving me 3x equals ln of 6. That is a number, so treat it like a number. If you want to get that decimal then, right there, you could. I like to wait till the end. How do I get rid of the 3? Well, I divide by 3. So now I'm going to type into the calculator ln of 6 divided by 3. Do take notice how I've got this written. This one, I would make sure like this is closed in parentheses. I was typing in the calculator, then press divide. So initially, when you see it on your calculator, it would look like this. Okay, which looks completely different than the other one. But when you press enter, you'll see this, maybe without the parentheses. And it should show you that your answer is 0.059, dang nab, son of a biscuit here, 73. So 5,973 10,000ths. Yeah, I went that far. All right. Anyways, next one. Okay, so how would I solve this? Okay, here, make note. Notice how that x minus 4 is in parentheses. There is nothing outside of the ln. There is nothing, if you look at this right here, nothing outside of the ln. The x minus 4 is in parentheses. It's within the natural log. So that means all I got to do now is get rid of the natural log. And how do I do that? Well, remember, e and ln, when they are next to each other, when the natural log and e are next to each other, they will cancel each other out. So let's put an e next to them. Now, if I put an e there, I got to do it on the other side. So now I'm going to cancel out, and I've got x minus 4 equals e to the 5th power. Ooh. It's like you almost rewrote it into exponential form. Ooh. And then you can add 4. So you have x equals e to the 5th plus 4, and then you can find your answer. And just type it in the calculator. And I get an answer that is approximately equal to 144.42. Oop, nope, take that back. 0.41. That works. I don't feel like going 4-digit decimal place on that one. All right, and there you go. So finally, going over the last problem of the quiz. Natural log 7x equals, okay, so here again, I see that it's 7x equals 4. I put an e next to them. E's and ln's cancel out, leave me 7x equals e to the fourth. Divide by 7, because that's a multiply. And then that's what I would type into the calculator to get my answer, and that would do it. So when I type that into the calculator, I press e to the fourth, divided by 7, and I get, interestingly enough, 7.7997. It's kind of weird that I got a lot of 7s and 9s there. Anyways, and there you go. All right, so I wanted y'all to go over this. My goal is that y'all should go through your quiz and be able to redo the problems based off these one by one. Then we will do some more, like an assignment, to kind of help reinforce this to get you better for the test. So that way you should be able to do these quicker. Anyways, that's it for today. I hope you do listen to these and use them as you're going back over your quizzes. All right? Thanks a lot. Y'all take care.